If you want to leave the United States of America and go live in another country, I bet that you've never thought about some of the things that I'm going to say in this video. When I say you, I'm talking not only to the commenter, but just the majority of you all that are thinking about leaving the USA, which, by the way, now is the best time more than ever. Anyways, let's get into this comment and we're going to talk about some stuff. Okay. So this Gigi says, I have a remote job working for an American company. I'm single in my 50s. So I would hope to move somewhere with a thriving expat community and take my two dogs after I sell my house. So I've got a couple of interesting things to say. Number one, maybe consider not selling your house. Maybe consider renting it out and having that passive income. I know it might not be a lot for living in the USA, but have you ever seen our website where we show houses? There's some places are like $100 a month. I haven't paid more than $130 a month for rent in the last 7 years for like two-bedroom houses and stuff like that. So anyways, just an idea. I don't know all the circumstances. I'm just throwing that out there for anyone to consider, because even if you still have a mortgage, if there's a little bit of money left over, that actually might go a long way in another country. Now, let's go to another point here. Now, don't be offended about what I'm going to say because I might be misunderstanding. I'm just throwing this out there as a consideration for anybody, not just a commenter, but anyone thinking about moving to another country. So when you talk about moving to a thriving expat community, so a place where there's other, US and Canadian immigrants or whatever that you can hang out with and you can, speak your language and you can have a lot to relate to. Now, I would consider going to a place that doesn't have a thriving expat community for several reasons, okay? If it has a thriving expat community, now there might be a little bit of me misunderstanding what your definition of thriving is, right? But I personally don't like to be at a place where there's a lot of foreigners. It's like, or like foreigners like me, right? Like if like that's part of the enjoyment, the spice of life, variety is the spice of life, I think is how the phrase goes, right? Like if I wanted that, I would just move to like some rural, low cost place in the USA where they need people live and go have a thriving English speaking community, right? And then so I'll get back to that in a second. But before I forget, I also want to say is if it has a thriving expat community, a lot of times those towns or those islands or whatever, the prices are elevated because they're super popular, and it's like everyone is trying to go to like this speck on the globe, this little surf town or this little island or whatever, and it's like it's the speck on the globe, and there's too many people going there, and it makes the prices raise, and it's like that is another like not so good thing about going to those types of places. Two, you're getting less of the real experience because you're going to these places that essentially are not like the real thing. So let's say you want to move to like just Cancun, for example, or whatever, or Cozumel or whatever. It's like you can technically go, oh, I live in Mexico, but trust me, you're not living in Mexico. Like really, if you go to one of those places, you're not living in Mexico. And then even the Mexicans that live there will be like, yeah, this is Mexico. This is how we live. And it's true. It is a side of Mexico, but it's not, it's just, there's just no words to explain how that is just really not the real Mexico. I'm sorry, it's just my opinion. But like one of the beautiful things about this whole thing of being able to go to another country is it's almost getting to live a secondary life by learning a new language, getting completely immersed in the new culture. And if your idea, and again, I might be misunderstanding this comment, but it just is giving me a talking point just in case I want to throw this out there into the world for anyone who it may apply to, right? Not necessarily just a commenter here, but it's like, okay, you know, if you are going to a thriving expat community and like that's like one of your big things on your list, well, then it kind of sounds like you're wanting to always be around people that are going to be speaking in your language, that are like your culture and blah, blah. And then you're missing out on getting to be fully immersed in this new culture. Like imagine, let's say you go to um, Cambodia, for example, okay? If you're always hanging around English speaking people, you're going to be there 10, 15, 20 years and you're never going to speak the language of Khmer, and you're always going to feel like an outsider. It's way more fun when the culture, the community embraces you because they're like, yo, why? You learn Khmer? You learn my language? You speak so good. And you're like, I love you. I love your culture. I love your dances. I love your language. I love your foods. I love you. And you get so much more joy out of it by not being in this expat community. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not trying to talk down on wanting to get together with people that you relate to. For example, my wife and I, we usually do it at least once every month or once every 3 months where we get together with some friends. In fact, we're going to be doing it today. Matter of fact, uh, just in a few hours, we're going to be going and hanging out for about maybe an hour or so with some of our friends that are also from the United States of America. And it is enjoyable. It is enjoyable to talk to someone that relates to you because of your upbringing and speak your language and things like that. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's a wonderful. But it's just like it's bad. I'm telling you, you'll have way more enjoyment in this whole experience if that is just like a little bit of what you do, maybe once or twice a month or something like that, or once or twice every 2 months or whatever. But most of the time, you're just embracing this new culture, and it's getting to like it's almost like you get a whole nother life, another language, another culture, and stuff like that. And trust me, when you integrate fully to where you speak the language really well and all the stuff that I mentioned, it's so much more enjoyable than being the outsider. We've seen it so much of these people that they barely just learn enough of the language just to get by, and they think that they're doing it because they can get around the grocery store and buy the things they need to buy and everything and whatnot. But they still always feel like an outsider. And a lot of those people, they usually end up leaving within a year or within 5 years. They go back and they're like, yeah, it wasn't for me. And it's like, but the people that really embrace the culture, the language, and everything, like I talked about, those are the people that end up just they typically just stay abroad, and just are loving it. Say I would never go back. I don't know if I'm able to express this in. I hope I'm able to express this to be understandable enough. But it's one of those things that you really have to experience it to really know what I'm saying. But I hope that I'm conveying the idea decently. Sorry for all the yapping, but I feel very passionate about this. And yes, this is more of not so much towards the commenter, but this is a to whom it may be concerned. This message was brought to you by Time to Go International.